What's up guys? Welcome back to the channel Hand Waving. Your friend Naruto Addict 2.0 is here again with a brand new Naruto fanfic that's going to change everything. A story where Naruto is betrayed and banished. But destiny has bigger plans for him. From exile to emperor, this is the journey of power, strategy, and love. Today's fanfic is titled, What If Naruto Turned into a Shinobi God and Claimed Sasuke, Kin and Tayuya? Part 2. Okay, that looks like enough wood for a fire. Sakura stated as she, Kin and Karen stood around a pile of sticks they'd collected to start a fire while Naruto and Sasuke had gone to a nearby stream to catch some fish. Good, then we got back just in time, said Sasuke, getting the three girls' attention as they saw the Uchiha and Uzumaki returning while carrying several fish. Hey, look at all the fish we caught. Seems we're finally getting some good luck in this forest. Naruto said with a grin, pleased at all the fish they were able to catch. Great job you two, Karen said, smiling at her cousin and Sasuke before she helped them skewer the fish and set them around the fire once it was lit. Once all the fish were set up, Naruto went over to his clothes to get dressed, having dived into the river to catch the fish and throw them into the air. With Sasuke standing on the shore, ready to hit them with kunai while they were in the air. Though before he could grab them, the whiskered ravenet looked at Kin when she grabbed his shoulder and pulled him back. You can't wear that jumpsuit anymore, Kin said, making Naruto look at her in confusion. What are you talking about? Sure, it's gotten dirty and a little ripped from the fighting and moving through the forest, but I can still wear it, said Naruto, not seeing why he couldn't put it back on. No, you can't. Maybe the orange worked with your blonde hair and the light tan you had before, but now that you have black hair and pale skin you might as well be a walking target. The colors just clash too much to effectively blend together, said Kin as Naruto frowned at this. I still don't see the problem, Naruto said, not really caring if his clothes didn't suit his new appearance, only for Sakura to hold out a pile of clothes for him. The problem is that having bright clothes like that with pale skin and dark hair makes you stick out too much. It blended better before since you also had a bright appearance, now you don't. So you need new clothes that match your new look. Karen, Kin and I were able to pick out some clothes that'd suit you from the spare clothes their teammates had on them, Sakura said, knowing that Naruto wouldn't be able to keep wearing his orange jumpsuits with his new looks. The Uzumaki's frown deepened as he took the new clothes, only to find that all of them were completely black, the only color being the silver zipper on the shirt. But these are all black, said Naruto, not wanting to wear, at least to him, boring-looking clothes without any color. You could at least try them on Naruto to see how they fit and if you would like them. I think you'd look really good in them, especially with your new looks, said Karen, smiling at Naruto, making him waver and not want to say no. Sasuke, Naruto said while turning to the Uchiha, hoping she'd say something so he could keep his clothes, doubting she'd really care about what he wore. Only for the Uchiha to look at him with a raised brow. You really can't wear orange anymore, Naruto, you'll only end up looking ridiculous. So stop complaining and just put on the new clothes, Sasuke said, agreeing with the others that he couldn't keep wearing orange. See, even she agrees with us. And how about this, wear them at least for the rest of the test and once we're out of the forest, if you don't like them then we'll go shopping for different clothes as long as they don't make you stand out like a sore thumb, said Kin, offering a compromise, making Naruto grumble before reluctantly nodding in acceptance. Fine, I'll wear them, said Naruto before he began putting on the new clothes, with the girls watching to see how he looked in them. With Naruto now wearing a black collared, long-sleeved shirt with a silver zipper, black pants, and black ninja sandals. Yeah, the darker colors look way better on you, Kin stated with a smirk while Sasuke, Sakura and Karen nodded in agreement. You really do look good in them, Naruto, added Karen, smiling at her cousin. And here, you can at least keep the jacket, I'm sure I can make an outfit that works with it that you can wear when off duty, said Sakura as she handed Naruto his jacket, making the whiskered ravenet smile. Thanks, Sakura. Naruto replied, glad he can still keep his jacket. The five genin all sat down around the fire with Naruto turning towards Karen with an eager expression, wanting to finally get the chance to learn more about her and the Uzumaki clan. Karen, what can you tell me about the Uzumaki clan? Naruto asked, making Satsuki, Sakura and Kin look at her as well, feeling curious as well to learn about the Uzumaki clan. Well, I honestly don't know everything, only everything my Ka-san told me about it. But from what she told me, the Uzumaki clan shared close ties with the Senju clan, with them even being distantly related. This resulted in them being allied with each other before the hidden villages were even founded. Which also lead to several marriages between the clans, including between Hashirama Senju and Mito Uzumaki. It's why the Uzumaki emblem is on the back of Konoha's flak jackets, as a symbol of friendship between Konoha and Uzushiogakure. Karen explained, much to their surprise. You mentioned that before, Uzushiogakure. Does that mean the Uzumaki clan had their own village? Questioned Sakura in amazement that a single clan had their own village, while Naruto grinned at the idea of his clan having their own village. That's right. Uzushiogakure was founded by the Uzumaki clan in the Land of Whirlpools on a group of islands just off the coast of the Land of Fire. The largest island is where the village was built, with a smaller settlement being located in the very center where the Uzumaki clan first settled down before spreading out and building Uzushio. Along with several smaller islands connected with bridges. Said Karen, proud of how her clan formed their own village. That sounds awesome. I bet it would have been really great to see it. Naruto said, imagining what Uzushiogakure would have looked like, only to remember how Karen said it had been destroyed during the Second Great Ninja War. Satsuki placed her hand over Naruto's, giving it a comforting squeeze, understanding the sadness he's likely feeling. Though figured it's even worse, given he's just learned he's come from a ninja clan only to learn they were wiped out decades ago. The whiskered Ravenet smiled slightly in thanks at the Uchiha, which she returned before they looked back at Karen. Did the Uzumaki clan have any special jutsu or keke genkai? Since if they were able to form their own village without any help, they must have been really strong. Said Satsuki, with Karen nodding in response. They were. From what Ka-san told me, the Uzumaki clan were renowned for their skill in fuinjutsu. Even the most skilled and talented fuinjutsu masters can't compare to an Uzumaki fuinjutsu master, with only a very rare few having a talent to rival a member of the Uzumaki clan. We also possess incredibly powerful life force, making it so we have much longer lifespans and age slower. This also gives us powerful healing abilities, allowing us to survive injuries that'd normally cripple or even kill anyone else. Replied Karen, much to their shock. Damn. Kin muttered, with Satsuki and Sakura unable to do anything but nod in agreement, knowing that sums up their thoughts perfectly, while Naruto grinned to learn how strong his clan is. That's not all though. There are other abilities that only a select few Uzumaki possess, and I have them. One is called Mind's Eye of the Kagura, which basically makes you a sensor that no one could hope to rival. Normal sensors have to mold their chakra before they can sense anything, but for me I can instinctually sense anything without any effort. I can detect the presence of others, being able to zero in on a specific individual, even being able to discern their species all from a greater distance than you'd expect, which lets me easily track a target. I can tell the size of a person's chakra reserves, even being able to tell when someone's lying since their emotions cause their chakra to fluctuate when they lie. I'm even able to sense when someone's under the influence of genjutsu, including myself. This also lets me completely conceal my chakra from anyone, but when I do this I can't use my chakra for anything else, leaving me vulnerable. Karen said, smiling proudly at her ability, while Team 7's and Kin's shock continued to grow. Though Kin also tensed slightly at hearing Karen can tell if someone's lying, making her panic if the redhead already knew she was lying before. Only remaining calm due to the fact that Karen hasn't said anything, yet. I'll need to choose my words more carefully. Kin thought, knowing she'll need to be careful of what she says and make sure everything she says isn't technically a lie. Wow, that's really cool, Karen. You must be really strong. Naruto said, smiling at his cousin, which Karen returned. Thank you, Naruto, said Karen, happy at the praise for her abilities. I'm guessing that those golden chains you used before are another ability. Sakura asked rhetorically while making Naruto and Satsuki look at her, having not seen her chains. With Karen nodding before one of her chains emerged from her back, surprising Naruto and Satsuki at the sight of it. Is that made of chakra? Said Satsuki in disbelief. Yeah, these are my adamantine attacking chains. These are only accessed by a few Uzumaki that have a unique form of special chakra, allowing us to mold it into physical shapes like this. With them I can attack and bind people them, sealing their chakra and leaving them helpless. But these are also just an incomplete version of a stronger form called adamantine sealing chains, which are far stronger. Though I don't know anyone that's unlocked them, from what Ka-san told me, they were strong enough to restrain the Biju, even the Kyuubi. Karen explained, much to their shock and amazement, while Naruto tensed at the mention of the Kyuubi. Only to flinch and hold his head when he heard an enraged roar from within his mind, making the girls look at him. Are you alright, Naruto? Sakura asked in concern, wondering if the curse seal was acting up. Why yeah, I'm fine, just a headache. What else do you know about the Uzumaki clan? Said Naruto, quickly changing the subject, making the girls frown, being able to tell he wasn't being honest with Karen, not even needing to sense his chakra to tell it's a lie. Though none of them said anything, for the moment, not wanting to push the issue. Well, honestly that's everything I know. But one other thing Ka-san told me is that the Uzumaki clan were also known for their bright red hair. Karen replied, getting confused looks from the other genin. They were known for their hair. Kin asked with a raised brow while mentally wondering if Tayuya could be an Uzumaki given her own red hair. Yeah, while you might see other people in the world that have red hair, in the Uzumaki clan practically everyone had it, making it easy to tell if someone's an Uzumaki just from whether or not they had red hair. But, not everyone likes it since it's so different, said Karen, looking down while remembering how everyone in Kusa treated her as an outsider. Well, that's stupid. I think your hair looks really pretty, Karen. Naruto stated, making the redhead look up in surprise. Really? Karen asked, not expecting that, with Naruto nodding and smiling at her. Yeah, I think it's really cool and beautiful. It makes me wish I had red hair like yours, instead. Replied Naruto, imagining what he'd look like with smooth red hair, while Satsuki and Sakura also imagined what he'd look like if he had red hair, instead of the blonde hair he had before. Th thank y yo 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 you. Said Karen while blushing at the compliment, unconsciously grabbing a strand of her hair. Karen, if you don't mind me asking, but, what was it like in Kusa for you? Sakura asked, still remembering how her teammates treated her and what they said, worried about what her life was like in Kusa itself. Her worry only growing when Karen's expression immediately fell, something that worried Naruto as well, wondering what it was like in Kusa for her. Karen, said Naruto, making her look at him as he saw the concern and worry in his eyes. It was terrible, my own personal hell the moment me and Ka-san went there. Said Karen before shakily holding her arms out, displaying the bite marks on her arms. Another ability the Uzumaki clan has, is that because we have such powerful chakra and life force, anyone that bites us and absorbs our chakra will be instantly healed of any injuries and restore any lost chakra. That's the only reason Ka-san and I were allowed to stay there. She had to help heal the village's wounded, then Karen said, with the others feeling shock, disgust and anger, especially Naruto at what was done to two of his clansmen. Your mother, said Satsuki, not wanting to say it but could already guess what happened. There was a surprise attack on the village one day, a lot of ninja were wounded and she did what she said she could and helped, but even with how much chakra an Uzumaki has, she eventually ran out. So, I had to take her place, because there were still so many wounded, said Karen, their disgust and anger only growing. Doing that to a child? What kind of sick monsters are they? Taking your mother's chakra until she died, then forcing you to do the same, letting a bunch of strangers bite you just so they can be healed. What? They don't have any medic ninjas, so they just force a mother and her child to do everything. Sakura said, angry and disgusted that they'd only let Karen and her mother live in Kusa so they could force them to do something so sickening and dangerous. And I thought things could be bad in Oto. Kin said with a frown, knowing that while things in Oto could be bad, that was worse than anything she could imagine. It's fine, they usually heal after a few days anyway. I can also bite myself to speed up the healing process, said Karen, knowing the bite marks will heal themselves after a few days, only to usually be replaced by new ones. It's not fine, Naruto yelled while shooting up to his feet, scowling in pure anger, surprising the girls at his sudden outburst. You had nowhere else to go and just wanted a home. But they only let you stay for their own benefit. None of them cared about you or your Ka-san, only what you could do for them. Even when they killed her, they just forced you to do what they want. They're all nothing but heartless bastards, and I'm gonna, said Naruto, having never felt anger and hate like this before. Feeling the urge to hunt down every single person that bit Karen or forced her into such a life, and tear them apart piece by piece. Or even force them all to bite each other until they died, so they understood her pain. Only desiring to make them suffer for what they did to a member of his clan. Not helped by how he's further reminded of Orochimaru's words, that he's nothing but a tool. The same thing Kusa saw Karen as, nothing but a tool for their own benefit. Only for the whiskered Ravenet to stop and grunt in pain, holding his shoulder when the curse seal flared up in response to his anger. Making the kunoichi look at him in worry before Satsuki put a hand on his shoulder and gently sat him back down. You need to stay calm, Naruto. Getting angry won't solve anything, Satsuki said, knowing if he got angry there's a chance the curse seal could activate like it did before. Satsuki's right, Naruto. You have every right to be angry, and so does Karen, after what she went through. But being angry now won't do any of us any good, added Sakura, not wanting him to go berserk again and end up killing someone else or worse, get himself killed. Naruto scowled but eventually nodded, knowing they were right and getting angry would only make things worse, before he looked at Karen. You're not going back to Kusa, Naruto stated, much to her surprise. What? Questioned Karen, not expecting him to say that. You're not going back to that damn village, I don't care what anyone says. Not the Hokage, not anyone that tries forcing you to go back, no one. I'm not letting anyone else hurt you ever again, and anyone that tries won't live long enough to regret it. Naruto said darkly, having no intention of letting Karen return to Kusa where they'll just end up killing her, like they did her mother. While the redhead looked at him with wide eyes, feeling her heart beating loudly in her chest at his words. You'd really go that far, for me? Karen asked, not believing Naruto would go that far to help her, even if they are family. She wasn't expecting this. Of course I will. Even if we weren't related, I'd still help you and make sure you didn't have to suffer anymore. But we are family, so that means it's even more important that I look after you. No matter what anyone says or does, I will protect you, Karen. Naruto said with determination burning in his eyes, refusing to lose the only family he has after finally finding her. I wouldn't try arguing with him. Once he sets his mind to something, you have better luck convincing a wall to get out of your way. And besides, he's right, whether you're family or not, no one should suffer like that. So you don't have to worry about ever going back to Kusa again, said Satsuki, knowing she'll help Naruto make sure Karen wasn't sent back to Kusa. Yeah, we won't let anyone try to make you leave if you don't want to. And you won't have to worry about anyone ever trying to bite you again, not unless they want their teeth knocked out. Sakura added, wanting to also help protect Naruto's new cousin. I suppose it would be fun with deal with some trash that like abusing a little girl. It's not like anything valuable will be lost if they die, stated Kin, offering her own help, both since she's genuinely disgusted at Karen's treatment and because it'll further endear herself to Naruto. While Karen looked at the four in disbelief, feeling tears in her eyes at how genuine they all felt, not sensing any deceit or lies, nothing like in Kusa where it was all lies and manipulations. Despite having just met her, they all wanted to help her. Even when her own team attacked them and what they were planning to do. Thank yo yo you, to thank yo you, said Karen while wiping her eyes, only look when she saw Naruto sit beside her, smiling kindly at the redhead. You don't need to thank us, it's what friends and family are for, to look after each other. Naruto said, with Karen looking at him with wide eyes before she smiled brightly and wrapped her arms around the whiskered ravenet. Thank you, Naruto, for being so warm, thought Karen, enjoying the warmth she felt coming from Naruto's chakra. Even with the darkness radiating from the curse seal, she still loved how warm and protected it made her feel. Naruto returned the hug with Sasuke and Sakura smiling at the sight, happy for their teammate finally having a family and learning where he's come from. What about you, Kin? What's it like in Odogakure? Naruto asked once he and Karen pulled apart, looking at the Odo Kunoichi, curious of what it was like in Odo. Satsuki and Sakura looked at her intently, wanting to see if she ends up mentioning anything about Orochimaru or if she's hiding anything. What's it like in Odo? Well, nothing like here in Konoha, that's for sure, though it's not anywhere near as bad as Kusa seems to be. From what I've seen and heard, camaraderie and friendship seem to be big things in Konoha, but in Odo the main principle there is might makes right. If you aren't strong enough then at best you're ignored and dismissed, but the worst is being pushed around and used by those that are stronger. Which makes it pretty difficult to trust anyone, as you never know if they're being genuine or if they're simply using you for their own gain. Kin explained, making the genin frown at how things were in Odo. That doesn't sound like a good way to live. Not even knowing if you can trust your own comrades, said Sakura, with Kin shrugging in response. Maybe, but that's the way things work, replied Kin, knowing while it may not be great, being in Odo taught you to either be strong or be walked over by everyone. So you really didn't have anyone you trust? Satsuki asked, only for the Ravenet to shake her head. I didn't say that, just that it's not as big as it is here. I do have one friend, Tayuya. She specializes in sound-based genjutsu too, casting them with her flute. She's actually one of the stronger ninja in Odo, so it helps having her as a friend since not many of the others want to get on her bad side. And that's not even with her jutsu, she can make someone run away crying with just a few words. Kin said, smiling slightly while thinking of the times Tayuya would verbally tear apart anyone that'd annoy her, usually resulting in them crying before running away, or she then physically tears them apart if they don't leave her alone. That's good to hear you have a friend. It's never really good when you don't have anyone else, said Naruto, smiling the fact that Kin did have friend only to frown at knowing what it's like being alone. Yeah, while not everyone would show it, everyone in Odo do cherish the bonds they make with those they can truly trust. Among everyone else that wouldn't hesitate to stab you in the back to elevate their own position or using you for their own advantage if you show the slightest hint of weakness. We simply have to know better than to let just anyone get close to us, but those that we do, we try to make sure we don't lose them. Kin replied, making Naruto and Karen to look at her in sympathy with even Satsuki and Sakura, despite their suspicions, feeling bad for her. While it's good you have someone you can trust, it's still no way to live. Always being suspicious and on guard everywhere to go, not knowing who you could even trust. Stated Karen with the whiskered Ravenet nodded in agreement. I guess so, but it is a good motivator for us to train and improve, ensuring that you're always the strongest or at least stronger than everyone else around you. Said Kin, something the others had to relent to, admitting that would be a good motivator. By the way, here's something you two might be interested in knowing, Tayuya has red hair too. Kin added, looking at Naruto and Karen, causing them both to perk up with hopeful expressions. Now I can't be sure or not if she is actually an Uzumaki since she was originally part of the Shin clan in the Land of Sound before joining Odogakure. But she does have large chakra reserves, even more than most of the higher-ranked ninja in Odo, with only a few surpassing her. And she does have red hair. So maybe she is an Uzumaki, but nothing guaranteed. I just thought you two would like to know there's a chance you have another relative. Said Kin, knowing this'll really make things easier once Tayuya shows up to help seduce Naruto to join Odo. With Naruto and Karen smiling happily at the chance there's another Uzumaki they could meet, and even if Tayuya's not an Uzumaki they'll still like to meet Kin's friend. Before long the fish had finished cooking and the 5 genin began eating, with Satsuki frowning as they ate. It's already been 4 days and we still haven't found another team with a heaven scroll. Now we only have 1 day left to get one, otherwise we might as well give up now. Satsuki stated, making Naruto and Sakura frown as well, not liking that they haven't come across another team for 4 days, knowing they were running out of time. And we have no way of knowing just how many teams are left or even what scrolls they'd have. We don't even know if there are any heaven scrolls left to get. Said Sakura, unsure if they could even retrieve a heaven scroll at all now. There has to be at least one team left with a heaven scroll. We can't give up now. Said Naruto, refusing to give up now after everything that's already happened. Naruto, we can't just hope to randomly encounter another team that'd happen to have a heaven scroll. Taking out that Kusa team Orochimaru disguised himself and his snakes as, that leaves 26 teams, with 13 Earth Scrolls and 13 Heaven Scrolls. Orochimaru swallowed the Earth Scroll he had and stole our Heaven Scroll, that takes away 1 set of scrolls already. Now we have 2 Earth Scrolls from Karen's and Kin's teams. So at most, 12 teams could be. The second exam, 10 if no one manages to take the Earth Scrolls we have. And then there are the teams who'd be taken out even if they had the same scroll as their attackers, lowering the number of teams that could pass even further. Sakura said, with Naruto's and Satsuki's frowns deepening. There is actually still a possibility of one team having a heaven scroll. Like you said, 1 pair is gone with Orochimaru, you now have mine and Kin's scrolls, giving half of 2 pairs. That leaves 10 complete pairs of scrolls, and 2 heaven scrolls that'd go with your 2 earth scrolls. So, right now if we assume no one's at the tower yet, there are 12 heaven scrolls, 2 teams of which are likely desperate to find earth scrolls. And there's also the teams that would have both scrolls but haven't gone to the tower yet. Said Karen, making Team 7 look at her. If a team has both scrolls, why wouldn't they just head to the tower? Naruto asked, confused as to why any team wouldn't immediately want to pass the moment they got both scrolls. To help weed out the competition. While the main goal is make sure you have a set of scrolls, you only pass if you reach the tower in the center of the forest. That's where all the teams will be converging, knowing that will be the best place to set up an ambush to steal another team's scroll. And for the teams that already have both, they'll be camping out near the tower for the rest of the time they have, ready to take out any teams that try entering it, ensuring they won't have much if any competition. Kin replied, knowing it'd be a strategy a lot of teams will use. So then if we head to the tower, then we can just lie in wait until another team shows up, ambush them and take their scroll. Said Sakura with a smile, seeing that they could still have a chance. Except there will be other teams around the tower, doing the same thing and will be ready to ambush us as well. Stated Satsuki, making the Pinkett lose her smile. But you all have an advantage no other team does, greater numbers and a sensor that'll find them before they can find us. Karen said with a smile as Team 7 looked at her before smiling, seeing they could still pass. Later, after finishing their lunch, Team 7, Kin and Karen began making their way towards the tower with the sun soon setting as it became nighttime. All of them made sure to follow Karen's lead, the redhead sensing for where any other teams were, guiding them safely past them. Only for Karen to soon stop and jump to the ground, followed by Team 7 and Kin. What is it, Karen? Naruto asked, wondering why they stopped. We've been put in a genjutsu. Someone's making us run in a circle rather than towards the tower. Replied Karen, causing the genin to tense and prepare for a fight. before their eyes widened when they saw dozens of clones of AIM ninja emerging from the ground and trees until they were soon surrounded. Karen, are any of these guys real? Satsuki asked tensely, wanting to know if the enemy team was hiding among the clones or if this was just a distraction. No, they're actually right over there in the trees. I'm guessing they're hoping to exhaust us or hide their attacks with these illusions. Karen replied, pointing to where the real AIM genin were hiding, much to their shock that she could sense them. Perfect, said Kin, quickly pulling out several Senbon and throwing them towards where the AIM genin were, forcing them to jump out of their hiding spot. Only for the three to cry out and hold their ears when Kin pulled the strings attached to them, activating her genjutsu, causing them to drop to the ground while the clones around them melted away. Looks like my genjutsu's better than yours, Kin stated with a smirk, pulling the strings again as the AIM genin cried out from the ringing until they soon collapsed to the ground with blood leaking from their ears. Once they were sure the genin were knocked out, Naruto went over and began searching their pouches for their scroll, grinning when he found they had a heaven scroll. Alright, we did it, we got both the scrolls. Naruto cheered, making Satsuki and Sakura smile in relief that they would be able to pass before they looked at Karen and Kin. Thanks, I doubt it would have been that quick without you two with us, said Satsuki, glad they were able to help them. Yeah, we'd probably be stuck running in circles or trying to fight clones that weren't real, Sakura said, with Kin nodding in response while Karen smiled. No problem, I'm glad we were able to help. But now let's get to the tower so you three can actually pass the test, said Karen with Team 7 nodded in response before they all took off towards the tower. Later, it didn't take the genin long to reach the tower without worrying about a genjutsu making them run in circles. With them entering through one of the sets of doors, ready for whoever might greet them now that they've passed the test. Only to be confused when they walked in and didn't see anyone in the room. Why isn't anyone here? Naruto asked, looking around in confusion, having thought there'd be someone to greet them once they reached the tower. Were we too late? Said Sakura, concerned that the test could have ended early if they weren't expecting any other teams to arrive. Are we just supposed to wait for someone to show up? Questioned Satsuki with a frown. Maybe that has something to do with the test, Kin said, pointing at the board on the wall opposite of the door, making the others look at it. Going up to the board to see what it said, none of them were sure what it was supposed to mean. If qualities of heaven are your desire, acquire wisdom to take your mind higher. If earthly qualities are what you lack, train your body and prepare to attack. When heaven and earth are open together, the perilous path will become righteous forever. This, something is the secret way that guides us from this place today. Sakura read, unsure what any of it was supposed to mean. Are we supposed to solve a riddle or something now too? And what's this something, that's a secret way or whatever? Questioned Naruto, annoyed that they had to solve another problem. I don't know, it's like there's a word missing, so I don't know what this something is either. But for the rest of it, I'm guessing it involves the heaven and earth scrolls. I think we're meant to open them now, said Sakura, believing that they were now meant to open and read the scrolls. Are you sure? Satsuki asked, not wanting them to open the scrolls and end up being disqualified. Pretty sure. Otherwise, why have this thing mentioned heaven and earth so much? Either we'll get the answers to the missing word in the scrolls or something else will happen. Whatever's inside, we need to open them now, Sakura replied, with the Uchiha frowning but nodded in agreement. Taking out the scrolls from his weapons pouch, Naruto handed Sakura the heaven scroll while he had one of the earth scrolls. Looking at each other to see if they were both sure, Naruto and Sakura gulped as they grabbed the ends of the scrolls before quickly pulling them open. Only to be confused when they didn't see any writing in them, instead seeing what looked like a seal on both of them. Karen, do you know if these are seals or something? Naruto asked, showing the redhead the contents of the scrolls, with Karen adjusting her glasses and looking at the scrolls in confusion. They do look like they're seals, kind of like the ones you'd find on storage scrolls. But not exactly the same, more like replied Karen before her eyes widened in realization, Satsuki doing the same at realizing what they were just as the scrolls began releasing smoke. They're a summoning jutsu. Naruto, Sakura, get rid of them, said Satsuki, making the two quickly throw the scrolls away just as whatever, or whoever, appeared in a puff of smoke with the genin being ready in case this was another part of the test. Only for Team 7 to be surprised when the smoke began clearing, showing that who was summoned was their old academy instructor, Iruka Yumino. Huh, Iruka-sensei, Naruto said in surprise before smiling at seeing the Chunin. Hey, long time no see, huh, said Iruka, opening his eyes and smirked at his old students before his eyes widened in shock at what he saw. Seeing that they weren't only being accompanied by an Oto genin and a Kusa genin, but Naruto's new appearance and clothes as well. It has been a long time, apparently. I'd ask why you three are with two foreign genin, but first I'd like to know what exactly happened to you, Naruto. Iruka said, wanting to first hear about the Uzumaki's sudden change in appearance, doubting he'd even realize it was Naruto if it wasn't for the whiskers as well as the fact that he's with Satsuki and Sakura. It's a long story, sensei, replied Naruto, frowning with Iruka nodding slowly in response. Clearly, it seems you three have gone through a lot in this test, way more than I expected, said Iruka, looking at Satsuki and Sakura for answers. If it's alright, sensei, we really just want to get this test over with already and get some rest, Satsuki said, making Iruka nod, figuring they must have had a tough time in the forest. Of course. Anyway, I'm sure you're wondering about my sudden appearance. Well, me and the other Chunin are meant to welcome those that pass the second exam once they reach the tower. And it looks like you guys made it just in time, the last team to arrive with only a day to spare. So, congratulations, you passed the second exam, Iruka said, smiling at the trio, much to their relief that they passed, even more so that they're the last team to arrive. So I take it that if we ended up looking at the scrolls during the exam, we would have failed, right? Stated Satsuki, guessing if they opened a scroll in the forest they would have failed. Sharp as always, Satsuki. That's right, part of this exam was to test to see if you had what it takes to see a difficult mission through. To put it simply, you knew opening one of the scrolls was against the rules of the mission, and if you tried opening one, I'd have knocked you all out until the end of the exam. Some ninja found that out the hard way, replied Iruka, much to their relief that they didn't open the scrolls. Hey sensei, what's that writing on the wall mean? Part of it's missing, so we don't know what the whole thing says, said Sakura while pointing at the board, curious of what it's supposed to mean. That's actually another one of the duties I've been sent to take care of. These are actually instructions Hokage-sama recorded himself that Chunin should follow. Heaven stands for your mind and earth for your body. In other words, if you lack wisdom and intellect, you need to work doubly hard to learn all the skills and lessons you'll need for your missions. And if your weakness lies in your physical strength, then you need to make sure you work on your physical conditioning every single day, so it improves all the time. When heaven and earth are opened together, the perilous path will become righteous forever, meaning if your mind and body are working together as one, even a very dangerous mission can become an easy one. Iruka explained, with the genin listening along in understanding. Then what about that spot with the missing word? Sakura asked with Iruka smiling. That's for all of you to fill in, it's the character on the scroll for person, a reference for Chunin. These 5 days of survival were to test your abilities as Chunin and to see if you'd be any good at it. And I gotta say, you guys really did magnificently, replied Iruka, making Team 7 smile at the praise. A Chunin is a leader, a guide. It's a Chunin's responsibility to be aware of the strengths and weaknesses of those serving under them, and to know what skills and training those ninja are going to need in order to succeed on a mission. You did an excellent job on this mission, and I want you to remember these instructions on your next one, Iruka said with the genin all nodding, including Kin and Karen, the two seeing the wisdom in the words. Well, that's everything that needs to be explained. Now you all look tired, so follow me and I'll take you to a room you can rest in, until the final exam. But, Just one last thing for the final exam, don't push yourselves too hard, said Iruka, not wanting them to have any more problems than it seems they've already had. Nodding in response, the 5 genin followed Iruka through the tower until they soon arrived at a room big enough for all of them. Here you go, you 5 will stay here until tomorrow when the final exams will be announced to you and the other finalists, so make sure to get plenty of rest, Iruka said before leaving the room. Thank Kami, it's over. I don't think I could have lasted another day in that forest, said Sakura as she collapsed onto a bed in relief. No kidding. I feel like I could sleep for a week, Naruto said, falling onto another bed as well. It's not over yet, we'll still have to get up tomorrow to learn what the final exam will be. Hopefully we'll at least get some more rest rather than start it right away, Satsuki stated before to Kin's and Karen's shock she began removing her clothes. What are you doing? Kin said, not expecting the Uchiha to suddenly start stripping, with Satsuki looking at her with a raised brow while removing her shirt, exposing her black bra. Undressing, said Satsuki, not seeing a problem as she removed her sandals and then her shorts, leaving her in just her black panties and bra. WWWWWCCACCA can say CTHTH that. Why are you undressing? Said Karen while blushing brightly before she stopped when Satsuki removed her bra and panties as well, leaving the ravinette completely. And, it's nothing you two and Sakura haven't seen in the mirror before. And Naruto's seen me plenty of times too, so it's nothing he hasn't seen either. Besides, I want to change into some fresh clothes after getting cleaned up, Satsuki said as she headed into the bathroom, much to their growing shock before they looked at Naruto and Sakura, who didn't seem fazed at Satsuki stripping, though they did blush lightly at the sight. How close are you 3 exactly? Kin asked, wondering if the 3 were already in a relationship or something, with Sakura's blush growing as well at the implication. It's not what you think. Satsuki just doesn't really have a sense of shame. Naruto and I, we had to learn it the hard way, the first day we all started living together, revealed Sakura, which only shocked them further. You 3 live together? Questioned Karen with the pinkett nodding in response. Yeah, it's something our sensei did not long after we became a team, buying us a house and having the 3 of us live in it together as a means to promote team building. And Satsuki doesn't exactly stay dressed while there, Sakura replied, remembering how when they first moved Satsuki just took her clothes off, not caring her and Naruto were still in the room watching. And ever since Satsuki would walk around the house either be in just her underwear or completely, with them having just gotten used to it. And, nothing's happened, at all? Kin asked, having a hard time believe 3 preteens, especially 1 boy and 2 girls, were living together and nothing happened, even more so if Satsuki walks around all the time. Number, said Sakura while looking at the ceiling in fascination. Telling the truth that nothing's happened, with any of them together, but the pinkett couldn't say the same when they were alone. You 2 could even live there with us. We still have plenty of room since it's just the 3 of us, Naruto offered, smiling at the idea of Karen and Kin living with them. Really? Karen said in surprise, with Kin looking at him in disbelief. Yeah, since there's no way you're going back to Kusa, you'll need a place to stay, and I'd really like it if you stayed with us. And you're welcome to stay too, Kin. At least until whenever you decide to go back to Oto, said Naruto, figuring that Kin would return to her village after the exams. Yes, I'd really love living with you, Karen said immediately, smiling happily at getting to live with her cousin and new friends. Sure, why not? If you're offering, it beats finding some other place for the rest of the exams, Kin said with a shrug while mentally shaking her head in disbelief. He's honestly making this too easy, thought Kin, not believing how she's barely done anything to earn Naruto's trust, yet here he is already offering to let her move in with him. The most she's done is show them a small bit of kindness, yet he's acting like they've been friends for years, when just a few days ago they were enemies. With Karen, it's at least understandable why he's so friendly, given they both come from the same clan. Is this why Orochimaru-sama chose me for this mission? Did he know I wouldn't even need to try to get close to Naruto? Kin thought, starting to wonder if she was actually chosen for her abilities or just because the mission would be laughably easy. Before she quickly shook off that line of thought, deciding to simply focus on completing her mission than why she was chosen. Hey, this bath is way bigger than normal, even bigger than the one we have at home. We could bathe together to save some time, Satsuki said from the bathroom, making Sakura, Karen and Kin look at each other. It would be nice to relax in a hot bath after spending 4 days in that forest, said Sakura, getting up, liking the idea of taking a hot bath. Agreed. After everything, it'll be great to relax without worry of any sudden attacks or anything, Karen said, having always enjoyed the chance to relax in hot water, especially after the long days she's forced to help at the hospital. No argument here, I could use some relaxation, said Kin before she, Sakura and Karen headed for the bathroom, eager to enjoy a chance to relax. Though before she went in, Kin stopped as Sakura and Karen walked in, with the Ravenet smirking as she turned back towards Naruto, seeing a chance to get him even more interested in her. Aren't you joining us? Kin asked, making the whiskered Ravenet shoot up from the bed with wide eyes. What? Said Naruto, not expecting her to ask that. Yeah, Satsuki did say we could bathe together, I didn't hear her say anything about just the girls. So I'm sure you're free to join, said Kin with a sly smirk, causing Naruto to blush brightly at the idea of bathing with 4 girls. Though he also knew Kin had a point, given that even at home Satsuki had managed to convince him and Sakura that they should all bathe together. Since they all live together and are teammates, she figured it'd make sense they should bathe together as well, much to their embarrassment. Though they did at least wear towels, at least he and Sakura wore towels, while Satsuki stayed. I'm F5 fine w waiting. Naruto stuttered, since bathing with Sakura and Satsuki was one thing, but having Kin and Karen as well, he wasn't sure he could handle it. You sure? Most guys would love the idea of being around 4 and hot girls. Aren't you just a little bit tempted? Kin asked while seeing Naruto's face turn even more red as he gulped nervously. I'm ss sure, said Naruto, making the Oto Kunoichi sigh in mock disappointment before she smirked again. Oh well, but, just so you know, the offer will be open, said Kin before she unzipped her vest, showing her purple bra underneath, much to Naruto's shock and embarrassment. Just something for you to think about it, if you're curious to see more, Kin said with a wink before entering the bathroom, leaving the frozen Uzumaki behind. Once she was in the bathroom, Kin saw that Sakura and Karen were already halfway dressed before they, along with Satsuki, looked at her, seeing her vest already unzipped. What were you doing? Sakura asked with a suspicious frown, wondering what kept her and why she already unzipped her vest. I invited Naruto to join us, Kin said casually, with the pinkett and redhead immediately blushing. WH what? WHWHWWHYWWOWU would YYUD that, said Karen, blushing brightly at the idea of Naruto bathing with them. Oh relax, he said no. Besides, I was just doing it to tease him, it's so cute when he gets all flustered, Kin replied while removing her vest and scarf before taking off her sandals and pants. Hang on, I'll go get him, Satsuki said before heading for the door, much to the girls' shock, including Kin, that she's actually getting Naruto to bathe with them. What? I said I was just kidding, said Kin, having not been serious about having Naruto bathe with them since she didn't want to end up coming on as too forward and risk messing things up. Satsuki, this isn't at home, we can't just have baths together when there are other people around, Sakura said, only for her blush to intensify when Karen and Kin looked at her in shock. You 3 have baths together, Karen said with her entire face now matching her hair, not expecting to hear that. Yeah, we do. It makes sense if we're all living together, That way we can bond more as a team and make sure all three of us are ready to leave rather than waiting for each other to finish getting ready," said Satsuki with a shrug before exiting the bathroom to get Naruto. "You're sure nothing's happened?" questioned Kin with the Pinket's face only turning more red. Later. "See. No problems with all five us together," Satsuki said while sitting in the large bath, with Naruto, Sakura, Karen, and Kin all being with her. Though while the Uchiha was content with not wearing anything, Naruto had a towel wrapped around his waist with Sakura, Karen and Kin having towels around their bodies to hide their modesty. The four being thankful the steam from the water helped further hide them. "Yeah, no problems," said Sakura, blushing brightly and squeezing her legs together. "The only problems are these damn towels blocking the view," inner Sakura shouted, making the Pinkets blush intensify while mentally cursing her own thoughts. "It is rather nice, I suppose," Karen stated, feeling less embarrassment the longer they were together, with her also taking a few quick peeks Naruto as she did so. "I'm honestly still surprised you three do this all the time and nothing's happened," said Kin, feeling the least embarrassment after the initial shock wore off, knowing this'll just help her even more. "Great. Glad that we're all fine now. Naruto, could you help me with my back?" Satsuki said, standing up and moving her hair out of the way, much Kin's and Karen's disbelief that she'd ask Naruto rather than one of the three other girls. Sure saw Satsuki," replied Naruto, blushing as he made his way over to Satsuki, taking the soap from her. Lathering his hands up, Naruto gulped as he began washing Satsuki's back while doing his best to keep himself calm as well. That's really good. But could you do it a little harder?" said Satsuki, wanting to work out any kinks in her back. Sure," Naruto said with his blush growing brighter as he pressed his hands harder against the Ravenette's back. "Do it harder," Karen thought, blushing at the Uchiha's words. "She has to know what she's doing," thought Kin, refusing to believe Satsuki could say that and not know the affect it'd have. "Damn it, Satsuki," Sakura thought, hating it when her teammate says something like that. "I wish he'd do me as hard as he wants. Make me scream for everyone to hear," said inner Sakura, much to Sakura's mortification. "No, I'm not some perverted creep. Naruto's just my teammate, no matter how good it would say no. I'm not thinking that," Sakura thought while shaking her head. "Yeah, you already imagined it enough, now we want to feel the real thing. Let's take him for a ride he'll never forget," inner Sakura said, eager to have the real Naruto rather than just fantasies. "That was just one time," thought Sakura, only to feel completely embarrassed at what she just admitted, if only to herself. "Try 100 sister, cha," said inner Sakura, knowing she's imagined a lot more times than once. "Shut up. You're just some creepy, perverted part of me," Sakura thought. "I'm a manifestation of your repressed emotions and desires, you closet pervert. Making me part that knows we want to get bent over and foo," inner Sakura before the Pinket quickly blocked her out, refusing to hear anything else. "You want me to wash your back, Sakura?" Kin offered, making Sakura look at her with wide eyes before realizing what she said. Oh, why yeah. Thanks, said Sakura, turning around and undoing her towel while also moving her hair out of the way to expose her back while keeping her chest covered. "No problem, as long as you don't mind returning the favor," said Kin, lathering up her hands as she began washing Sakura's back. Sure. Karen, do you need help getting cleaned?" Sakura said, looking at the red-headed Uzumaki, only to once again blush upon seeing that she hasn't taken her eyes off of Naruto and Satsuki. "No, I want Naruto to do me," Karen said in a trance-like tone, causing Naruto, Sakura and Kin to look at her with wide eyes. "What?" Naruto said, not believing what Karen just said, with Karen's eyes widening at realizing what she said. "My back. I meant my back. I'm waiting until Naruto's done helping Satsuki so he could help me next," Karen said quickly. "He could do us together, I don't mind if you join us," Satsuki said, figuring Naruto could use both his hands to wash them together. Together, with Naruto and Satsuki, Karen thought, getting a glazed-over look in her eyes. Tell me she knows what she's saying. She has to know what she's doing, right? Kin asked, with Sakura glancing over her shoulder at her with her face still being red. It's honestly hard to tell with Satsuki. Sometimes you know exactly when she's teasing you, and other times, Sakura said, knowing they can't always tell when Satsuki's purposefully teasing or not, realizing the double meaning behind words at times. So which of them do you fantasize about more? Kin asked with a smirk, making the Pinkett look at her with wide eyes. Don't, said Sakura, only for the Oto Kunoichi to roll her eyes. Oh please. You're saying you live in a house with another hot girl that's either in just her underwear or completely, and one guy, both of whom you also bathe with, and you're trying to deny fantasizing about them. Kin said with Sakura's face practically glowing now. So, which one? Naruto, Satsuki, or maybe, you prefer them together? Is that it? Kin said as her smirk grew while she began trailing her fingertips along Sakura's back, making the Pinkett shiver at the caresses. I wouldn't blame you if you said yes. Though I'm curious, do you imagine all three of you together, or are you the kind that prefers watching? I'm sure Satsuki likes it either way, given her Sharingan lets her memorize every single detail, said Kin, blowing lightly on Sakura's ear with Sakura gulping at her action. Before she bit her lips when Kin began moving her hands down her back, then wrapping them around her sides, caressing her stomach. Hell yeah, I don't care what she's planning, she gets it. Now let's show her what we really wanna do. Inner Sakura yelled, much to Sakura's growing embarrassment. After all, Naruto's likely fantasized about the both of you plenty of times. But something tells me he'll be thinking about us as well, later. Kin said, smirking while glancing at the whiskered Ravenet, causing Sakura's eyes to widen and look at him as well. Only to be completely mortified at seeing Naruto glancing at her and Kin while the Ravenet was basically groping her body. Even more so when she noticed Naruto wasn't really paying attention to washing Satsuki's back, with his hands unconsciously going down towards her ass. With the Pinkett's eyes also noticing something else when she looked lower. Oh, Kami, Sakura thought, seeing how Naruto's towel was sticking out. Yes. Now that's a tent I wanna be inside of. Better yet, put it inside me, said inner Sakura, with Sakura not even able to deny her own thoughts. You're going a little low, Naruto, said Satsuki, smiling when she felt Naruto's hands touching her ass. With her words snapping Naruto out of the trance he fell into after glancing at Sakura and Kin, seeing how close they were and the way Kin was touching the Pinkett. Before his eyes widened at Satsuki's words, unconsciously squeezing his hands. Only for this to get a moan from the Ravenet as he grabbed her backside. The sudden moan made everyone freeze before Naruto yelped and immediately moved away from Satsuki. I'm sorry. I swear I didn't, said Naruto, only to stumble back in the water and lose his footing, with Karen quickly moving to catch him before he fell. Nareep, Sakura said in concern that he'll hurt himself, only to squeak when she tried moving, only for her towel to fall when she let it go, making her scramble to try and keep it up, catching something in the process before getting a surprised squeak from Kin. While Karen tried catching Naruto as he fell, only for the red-headed Uzumaki to end getting pulled down with him in the process as they fell into the water. Why you alright, Naruto? Karen asked as they stood up, coughing up water and adjusting her glasses, relieved they weren't knocked off. Why yeah, I'm fine. Sorry Karen, said Naruto, only to freeze when he looked at the girls. Seeing that Karen had ended up losing her towel when they fell into the water, while Sakura's and Kin's towels ended up falling as well. When the Pinkett dropped hers and accidentally grabbed the Ravenet's when she scrambled to grab her own, pulling it off in the process. Leaving all four girls now completely in front of him. Oh, thought Naruto, blushing brightly as he looked at the girls up and down. Despite having seen her several times already, he still couldn't help but look at Satsuki's toned body. Her developing CC cup, growing hips, and thin waist, down to her smooth snatch and long legs, as well her shapely ass. Before then looking at Karen, not even noticing the bite marks covering her, instead only seeing how smooth her skin looked while still possessing some muscle from training. With her looking to also be CC cup like Satsuki's, only they seemed to be slightly bigger. While her hips were a little smaller, her bear still had his attention, along with seeing part of her from the angle. While with Kin, he saw her body look the most toned from training while still possessing a developing female figure. With her seeming to be a high C cup and looked very firm yet soft, seeing her look just as firm as her while her was just as smooth and bare. Finally Sakura's body was the most smooth and soft looking, yet he could still see the results of her own training. With her being smallest as a low C cup, though still bigger than he originally believed they were, down to her smooth and toned stomach that lead to her own smooth snatch and long legs while her was just as shapely, if not more so, as Satsuki's. The whiskered ravenet could only stare at all four with wide eyes, unable to do anything but take in every single detail he could about their bodies. Only to soon notice the girls were blushing brightly and looking at him as well, specifically looking at the lower half of his body. Causing Naruto to look down in mortification at seeing he ended up losing his towel, leaving his now erect in full view. Though this helped snap Naruto out of his shock and quickly dived into the water while covering his crotch, which also helped snap the girls out of their shock as well. He's never wearing a towel while bathing, again. Satsuki thought while licking her lips, refusing to let Naruto ever cover that up again when they take baths. This mission just got so much more fun, thought Kin, blushing at the sight of how big Naruto is, now feeling eager to really start seducing him. Yes, that's what I'm talking about, no fantasy can compare to a sight like that. We need to jump him right Kami damn now and have him as hard. Inner Sakura exclaimed lustfully, much to Sakura's mortification. I'm not jumping up anything. No matter how badly I want to be plowed by no. Sakura thought in horror at her own thoughts and imagination. Too late sister. We both want to get taken like a bitch in heat by that animal. We'll make sure he keeps coming back for this cherry bomb. Inner Sakura said. It's not just your chakra that's really big. Karen stated, not taking her eyes off of Naruto, much to his embarrassment. Karen, said Naruto, not believing his cousin would say something like that, only for the redhead to smile teasingly. No need to be embarrassed, Naruto. You really have nothing to be embarrassed or shy about. Besides, it's fair we both get to see each other. In fact, if you ever want to see more, just ask. Said Karen, winking at the whiskered ravenet, much to his and Sakura's surprise. You're related, Sakura said, looking at Karen with wide eyes that she's hitting on her own cousin, only for Satsuki, Karen and Kin to shrug. So, there isn't any problem with that, a lot of ninja clans intermarry with each other. Besides, when someone has an active chakra network, it nullifies the risks that come from inbreeding. Karen said, with Satsuki and Kin nodding in agreement. She's right. It was done in the Uchiha clan to help keep the bloodline pure. Hell, the Hyuga clan never, or at least rarely, marries outside of their clan to keep the Byakugan to themselves. Added Satsuki, knowing a lot of ninja clans only married within their clan to keep their bloodline pure. The Land of Sound also has plenty of wandering ninja clans, some that prefer to isolate themselves so they likely intermarry as well. And given the fact the Uzumaki clan settled down an island nation, they probably practiced it a lot too. Said Kin with Karen nodded along with this, knowing members of the Uzumaki clan did get married to each other. We do also have our powerful life force and healing abilities, which further helps to prevent any potential defects. Besides, even if that wasn't the case, we're likely distantly enough related to where it wouldn't be an issue. Since my Ka-san and I were in Kusa, while Naruto's mother or father ended up in Konoha. So, no worries if you want to do more than just look, Naruto. Said Karen, smiling slyly at her fellow Uzumaki while pushing her up, much to his embarrassment. That's hot, Inner Sakura stated, grinning lewdly at the idea of Naruto and Karen having. I'm such a creep, Sakura thought in embarrassment and mortification at her own mind betraying her. CCACACACA can www we j ju 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 just F555 finish, place please. Naruto said pleadingly, not knowing how much more he can take. Yeah, let's just finish getting cleaned up. I'm sure there'll be more fun we can have, later. Though don't be surprised if I ask for more besides looking, too. Said Kin, smirking eagerly at the Uzumaki. Also since now we've seen each other, there's really no point to keep wearing towels while we're having baths anymore. It'll even help make things go faster with us all being. Satsuki stated while looking at Naruto and Sakura, much to their shock and growing embarrassment. I need to start bathing faster. Sakura thought, knowing she wouldn't last long if she was around Naruto and Satsuki while all three of them were. Hell no. We need to start going slower, take our time and show them what we can do. Said inner Sakura, loving the idea of all of them being. And I need to keep ignoring you. Thought Sakura shaking her head. Naruto had similar thoughts, not sure if he'd be able to hold back for long if he had to see Satsuki and Sakura while bathing, or being himself around them. With Satsuki, Kin, and Karen noticing how Naruto and Sakura seemed to going faster in cleaning themselves up, making them smirk. There's no need to go fast you two, after all it's so much to take it nice and slow, savoring every moment. Satsuki said while sitting on the edge of the bath and washing her legs, purposefully trailing her hands down them slowly. She's right. If you go too fast then it won't be as fun, at least wait until the end to start going fast and make it more exciting. Said Kin, smirking as she lathered and washed her body. Yep. Starting off nice and slow before going faster, it makes it so much more enjoyable for everyone. Karen added, looking right at Naruto while washing her. Their words only further embarrassed Naruto and Sakura, making them go even faster in cleaning themselves up before they snapped. Okay, I'm done, Sakura said once she finished cleaning herself before standing up and getting out of the bath to get a new towel, the whiskered ravenet soon following. I'm done too, said Naruto, moving quickly to grab a towel, much to the amusement of the other girls. Only to look concerned at seeing Naruto and Sakura rushing to get towels, slipping slightly from the water dripping off of them. Though before they could say anything to make them slow down, Sakura let out a short scream when she slipped on the wet floor. Sakura, Naruto said reaching to grab the pinket before she fell, only to end up slipping as well before falling straight into Sakura, sending them both falling to the floor. Satsuki, Karen and Kin looked at them with wide eyes, seeing the position the two ended up landing in, while blushing slightly at the sight. Seeing that Naruto ended up landing on his back with Sakura on top of him, the pinket managing to catch herself on her hands and knees. Only for her crotch to be hovering right over Naruto's face, while she was right in front of his erect member. With the whiskered ravenet and pinket both frozen in pure shock and embarrassment at the position they landed in. This is Sakura's, Naruto thought with wide eyes at seeing Sakura's right above his face, clenching his fists tightly when his hands began moving on their own to her hips. While Sakura couldn't look at anything besides Naruto's member right in front of her, unconsciously licking her lips at the sight. What are you waiting for, you fool? Lick it, suck it, swallow it. Make sure Naruto will be seeing heaven or let me do it. Inner Sakura said lustfully. No, I'm doing it, go find your own. Thought Sakura refusing to let her mind try taking this for herself, not when she has it right in front of her. The pinket smiled lewdly as she began leaning in close, eager to finally experience the real thing after so many fantasies. Do you plan on sharing, Sakura? Karen asked, causing the pinket to freeze as she snapped out of her perverted desires, with mortification taking over at realizing what she was about to do. Before she slowly looked towards the others, seeing Satsuki, Karen and Kin with teasing expressions, despite the Uchiha feeling slight jealousy, wishing she was in Sakura's place instead. Oh, don't mind us, by all means, continue. We won't mind a free show, said Kin, motioning the pinket to continue. As long as you don't tire him out too much for our turns. Satsuki added, much to Sakura's growing embarrassment and mortification. I'm not a pervert, Sakura screamed, shooting up off of Naruto before grabbing a towel and rushing out of the bathroom, leaving the frozen Uzumaki on the ground and the three girls giggling. Later, after all of them had finished bathing, as well as regaining control of themselves and calming down from everything that happened, Team 7 along with Karen and Kin had gotten dressed. With Satsuki having put on a spare outfit she had in a storage scroll since her other clothes were ripped and torn from the time in the forest. The Uchiha was now wearing blue ninja sandals, black spandex shorts that went halfway down her thighs, a short white skirt, and a navy blue turtleneck with the Uchiha clan symbol on the back. With her also putting her hair up in a two-side-up hairstyle, which consists of part of her hair being made into twin tails tied with black ribbons. Once they were all dressed, it wasn't long before an Anbu arrived at their room to bring Team 7 to the Hokage's office. Leading to Naruto, Satsuki and Sakura following the Anbu up through the tower until they arrived at an office, where the Sandaime Hokage, Kakashi and Anko were all waiting for them. All three frowning when they saw Naruto's changed appearance and different clothes, wondering what happened to him to cause the sudden change. Thank you Neko, you're dismissed, said Sarutobi, waving the Anbu away, with them bowing before they shunshined out of the office. I suppose congratulations are in order, you three managed to pee the second exam, along with surviving an encounter with Orochimaru. Kakashi said with a frown, not liking that fact the snake Sanin targeted his students, even more so that he marked Satsuki. This made the genin tense that they knew about their fight with Orochimaru before Satsuki gritted her teeth when her curse seal flared up. Yeah, we know about that, we also know about the little gift he put on your neck, said Anko, scowling that her former teacher is back and marked someone else, along with her failed attempt to kill him. It's nothing, said Satsuki quickly, not wanting them to think she couldn't keep going in the exams, only for Anko to scoff and cross her arms. That isn't nothing. That mark is basically a collar around your neck now, one that'll keep getting tighter and tighter until it feels like you can't breathe anymore, Anko said, touching her own curse seal. Anko is correct. That curse seal is nothing more than a means for Orochimaru to control whoever has it, and as the name implies it's nothing but a curse, Sarutobi said while frowning, knowing his rogue student would have marked Satsuki, wanting her Sharingan so he could learn every jutsu in the world by copying them. Before the Sandaime's frown deepened when he looked at Naruto, seeing the way he was clenching his fists and seemed to be gritting his teeth, as if he was in pain. Are you alright, Naruto? Questioned Sarutobi, making Kakashi and Anko look at the Uzumaki with the perplexed narrowing her eyes. I'm fine. That creepy snake, whatever they were, just hit me really hard on the stomach with some weird jutsu, Naruto said through gritted teeth, resisting the urge to touch his own curse seal as it kept flaring up. You sure it doesn't have anything to do with this? Said Anko as she suddenly appeared behind Naruto, pulling down his collar exposing the curse seal of hell that he had. Hey, what's your problem with touching me, you crazy lady? Naruto said, pulling away from Anko and covering his neck, only for Kakashi to move his hand. Naruto, did Orochimaru put this here? Is that why you look different? Kakashi asked, now really not liking that two of his students had been marked by Orochimaru. So what? It's nothing alright. He put a weird seal on me and Satsuki, big deal. We're both fine, aren't we? Said Naruto, pulling away again and covering his neck. I'm afraid it's a very big deal, Naruto. Now I must ask that you two please show us the marks, Hiruzen said, wanting to see what kind of curse seals they were, knowing that Orochimaru has developed different versions. Frowning, Satsuki turned around and pulled down her turtleneck, showing the curse seal of heaven, making Anko scowl seeing it's the same one she has. While Naruto scowled before reluctantly showing his own as well, with the Hokage, Kakashi and Anko frowning at now getting a better look at it. Do you recognize this one, Anko? Kakashi asked, looking at the Tokubetsu Jonin only for her to shake her head. Not a clue. The only ones I've really seen before are the curse seal of heaven that me and Girly have, as well as the cursed seal of earth. Those two are supposed to be the strongest ones the bastard made. But this one, I've never even heard him mention it before, nor seen it either. Hokage-sama, said Enko with a frown, wondering if he knew anything about it from Jiraiya. This one is a mystery to me as well. Jiraiya's sent me everything he's been able to find about Orochimaru's cursed seals, yet this is one he's found nothing on. Sarutobi said, not liking how this cursed seal is a complete mystery, as it means only Orochimaru himself truly knows what it is. Can they be removed, Hokage-sama? Sakura asked, hoping they could remove the seals. If these things could be removed, I wouldn't still have it. When these things were made, they were made to be permanent, said Enko, with Kakashi and Hiruzen nodding in agreement. Enko's right, the cursed seals aren't easily removed, even by a Fuinjutsu master. The most that can be done is to seal them away so they can't influence you, said Kakashi, making Naruto and Satsuki frown that the seals can't be removed. Indeed. Which is why Kakashi will take you both to have them sealed away, as well as seeing about whatever jutsu Orochimaru hit you with, Naruto, is removed. Hiruzen said with the genin nodding before Kakashi put his hands on their shoulders. Sakura, head back to your room, I'll bring them back once we're finished, said Kakashi, looking at the pinkett. Okay sensei. Sakura replied before leaving the office while the Jonin shunshined away with the Uzumaki and Uchiha, leaving just the Hokage and Enko. Well, this is fantastic. Bad enough he was able to sneak into the village, but now he's marked 2 brats, said Enko, the Sandame sighing and nodded in agreement. Yes. It's even more worrying as to why Orochimaru would mark Naruto as well, said the Hokage, worried at what Orochimaru's purpose for marking Naruto is. Hokage-sama, I must ask that those 2 be pulled from the exams. Even with the seals Kakashi will put on them, the cursed seals could still act up. There's no way to even know if the one on the whiskered brat can be sealed away. If they compete, something bad will happen, Enko said, knowing how bad it'd be if their cursed seal activated during the final exam in front of everyone. I understand your concern, Enko. But I can't pull Naruto or Satsuki from the exams, Hiruzen said, much to the perplexed disbelief. But Hokage-sama, said Enko, only to be cut off. If we pulled them from the exams, then what happens if Orochimaru retaliates? He marked them both for a reason and will likely wish to see how they progress. By pulling them out, we only risk provoking Orochimaru. Not only that, but Naruto and Satsuki are both very prideful individuals. They would never accept being removed from the exams no matter what the reasons are, and if I do, then it would only cause them to resent me. And right now that's something I can't risk, said Sarutobi, frowning deeply while Enko raised a brow. Okay, I can understand the Uchiha brat since we know why Orochimaru wants her. But the Uzumaki brat, from what I've seen and heard, the kid doesn't seem to have a mean bone in him. Sure, he'd probably get angry, but I doubt he'd hold it against you, Enko said, only to see the grim expression on the Sandame's face. You and Kakashi may not have seen it, Enko, due to how both of you are emotionally impaired by the situation. Kakashi because his students faced a Sannin that could have easily killed them, only for 2 of them to be marked, Hiruzen said, along with knowing that given who Naruto and Satsuki are related to, it will serve to impair him even further. And you with the fact that it's your old sensei that's behind all of this and all the biases you have against him, something that I can tell has begun extending to Naruto and Satsuki now that they've been marked, said Hiruzen, giving the perplexed a look with Enko not saying anything though her body language spoke loudly, enough. Neither of you saw it, but I did. Naruto didn't once say anything to me, not even so much as look directly at me. And if there's one thing I'm sure of, no matter how serious the situation, Naruto would never let anything stop himself from speaking his mind. I can't be sure what exactly happened in the forest, but whatever it was that happened, I know that Naruto no longer seems to trust me like he did before, Sarutobi said while wondering what exactly could have happened to cause such a change in Naruto, wondering if Orochimaru did more than just mark him. Alright, I get it. Both of them can't be removed without making things worse. Anko muttered in annoyance only for the Hokage to give her a look. I don't think you do understand, Anko. I can't do anything that would make Naruto distrust me even more than he already does. He isn't just a ninja, he is Konoha's Jinchuriki and an irreplaceable asset that we can't afford to lose. We're still recovering from the loss of the Uchiha clan and the Kyuubi attack before it. The last thing we'd want is to do anything that'd serve to further weaken the village. And while it would pain me, as Hokage, I must do whatever is necessary to protect Konoha, and should Naruto end up becoming a flight risk, I will do what I must. The Hokage said gravely, making Anko look at him in shock. Would you seriously mess with the kid's head? Anko asked in disbelief, knowing what he meant, that he'd use a memory suppression seal and a memory alteration seal to ensure Naruto stayed loyal. While she knew they existed and were used, she never would have expected the Hokage to ever resort to something like that on a kid of all people. Even if I don't like it, a Kage must always do what's best for their village, no matter how far they need to go. The safety of the entire village goes beyond the problems of any one ninja. Hiruzen said with a frown, while the perplexed still looked shocked before frowning and touching her curse seal. With Naruto, Satsuki, and Kakashi. Meanwhile, Kakashi had taken Naruto and Satsuki to a lower part of the tower and began setting everything up to seal away their curse seals. Having them sit on the ground and remove their shirts so he could begin drawing the symbols over their bodies with his blood. Okay. This'll be over quickly. Are you both ready? Kakashi asked once he finished drawing the last of the symbols. How exactly will these seals work? Questioned Naruto, with him and Satsuki looking at the Jonin, wondering how the seals will work. The technique I'm using is called the evil sealing method. It's used specifically for sealing away curse seals like this. But don't forget this sealing method is only as strong as you both are. It's powered your own will and desire to keep the curse seals sealed away. You need to want the seal to work for it to keep the curse seals suppressed. If you don't, then they'll continue to influence you, tempting you to use the power. Do you understand? You need to want the seals to work. Warned Kakashi, with Naruto and Satsuki nodding in response. Seeing they understood, Kakashi began going through hand signs before placing his hand over Satsuki's curse seal. Evil sealing method, Kakashi said, causing Satsuki to scream in pain as the symbols began moving up her body and wrapping around her curse seal, while Naruto looked at her in concern. It didn't take long before the process was finished, with Satsuki panting heavily from the strain before she soon collapsed to the ground unconscious. Satsuki, said Naruto in concern only for Kakashi to stop him from getting up. Don't worry, it's normal for someone to pass out from the strain. Assured Kakashi before he repeated the process of sealing away Naruto's curse seal as well. With the Uzumaki crying out from the pain, even more so when it seemed like the curse seal of hell was actually trying to fight off the evil sealing method. Making Kakashi grunt as he channeled more chakra into the sealing. Just what kind of curse seal is this? Thought Kakashi, not expecting it to try fighting off the technique. Only feeling relief when it was still completed and sealed away, with Naruto passing out beside Satsuki. Okay, just one more thing to do, said Kakashi, turning Naruto over to see the 8 trigram seal, frowning at seeing the 5 elements seal over it. The 5 elements seal placed over the 8 trigram seal, making it an odd even imbalance and cutting Naruto off from the Kyuubi's chakra. Kakashi thought, holding his wrist as blue chakra flames appeared on his fingertips before slamming his hand into Naruto's stomach. 5 elements unseal, said Kakashi, the whiskered Ravenet unconsciously gasping at the added pain as the seal was removed. And that's that, Kakashi stated, standing up fully to take them back to their room. My, you've certainly grown stronger, Kakashi, said a familiar, causing the Jonin to gasp as his eyes widened before he turned to see Orochimaru step out from behind a pillar. To think you've become strong enough to perform the evil sealing method and the 5 elements unseal. I'm sure Minato and Kushina would be so proud to see you learning Fuinjutsu to such an extent. Orochimaru said with a mocking smirk, making Kakashi clench his fists and narrow his eyes at the Sannin. "You, Orochimaru," said Kakashi, not believing the snake Sannin would be here even with the Hokage in the tower while Orochimaru's smirk grew. "Long time no see, Kakashi," Orochimaru said, the Jonin tensed in preparation for a fight while Orochimaru made no move to attack. "No offense Kakashi, but I didn't come to see you. My business is with young Naruto and Sasuke," said Orochimaru while looking behind Kakashi at the two genin, making Kakashi move to shield his students. "What do you want with them?" Kakashi demanded, wanting to know what his goal was in marking his students. "The same thing you were fortunate enough to receive years ago. The Sharingan, the power of the Uchiha clan to copy any jutsu they see. And from our encounter, I believe Satsuki's Sharingan may one day surpass even Itachi's visual prowess. Why wouldn't I want that for myself?" Orochimaru said, believing Satsuki's Sharingan would be an even greater prize than Itachi's. "HMPH, that's it then, you and your mad ambition. Satsuki's just another one of your pawns," said Kakashi, only for the Sannin to chuckle lowly. "No, not a pawn. She's a far more valuable piece than that. But I'm sure you'll be surprised to hear that my most valuable piece is Naruto himself," revealed Orochimaru before he began walking forward. Seeing this, Kakashi instantly reacted, pulling up his headband and going through hand signs, grabbing his arm as lightning flared to life in his hand. "Stop. Don't take another step. Even if you're a Sannin, I'll make sure to bring you down with me before you get near any of my students," Kakashi said, refusing to stand by and do nothing, even against one of the Sannin. Seeing this, Orochimaru's smirk turned into a dark smile before he began chuckling as it soon grew into mad laughter, making Kakashi tense. Before the copy ninja gasped as his eyes widened when Orochimaru suddenly stopped laughing and looked straight at him, narrowing his eyes slightly. With Kakashi feeling his body freeze up as his Reikiri slowly died out from the pressure bearing down on him. "Now, isn't this familiar? You standing in front of me, believing you have a chance to kill me. What was it you said before? Don't move," said Orochimaru, walking forward until he stood right next to Kakashi with the copy ninja only able to glance at the snake Sannin. "It's quite nostalgic, isn't it? Here you are once again, too scared to so much as make a move against me," Orochimaru said, smirking at the Jonin, making Kakashi grit his teeth. "What are you planning? Even if you could sway Satsuki, Naruto would never join you, he'd never abandon his home," said Kakashi, with Orochimaru chuckling mockingly. "I'm sure you all have so many names for me: monster, murderer, madman, traitor. Though my personal favorite would have to be an agent of chaos. I am all of these things, but at my core I have always been a scientist. And like all scientists, I seek to experiment, to test that which no one else has and to see what happens as a result. And while it requires a level of optimism to pursue what hasn't been discovered or proven, it does require a large amount of realism as well," replied Orochimaru, glancing at Kakashi. "My desire is to become immortal, to never fear death no matter what happens so that I may learn all the world's jutsu and everything else there is to learn, uncovering every secret I can find. Yet I know that no matter how I try to prevent it, there will always be the chance that I'll die before my ambition is realized. And that is what makes Naruto my most valuable piece," Orochimaru said with a smirk while Kakashi's eyes widened. You plan to have Naruto carry on your twisted legacy. You're more insane than I thought if you'd think Naruto would ever be like you," said Kakashi, realizing what his goal was in marking Naruto, much to his disbelief. "Wouldn't he? Do you truly believe that Naruto won't join me, especially with everything that was kept hidden from him? His clan, his parents, being kept from his godmother before she was killed by her son, that he still has a godfather, even that he has the QB sealed within him. The latter of which he only even learned of, when one of my own spies tried to kill him," revealed Orochimaru, seeing no reason to keep it a secret as Mizuki knew nothing about his plans or where any of his bases were located. "You're going to tell him?" Kakashi said, realizing how he planned to bring Naruto over to his side. That's right. From me, Naruto will learn everything he's ever wanted to know he's the son of two of the strongest ninja who ever lived. The child of a cage, descended from one of the most powerful ninja clans in history. Everything Sarutobi sensei hid and would never tell him, even now we both know the old monkey won't tell Naruto anything. He's too set in his ways, and even if by some miracle he did tell Naruto the truth, it'll already be too late. Orochimaru said before vanishing in a puff of smoke, revealing it was just a shadow clone. With Kakashi nearly falling to his knees, panting heavily at the pressure being lifted away and could move again. Though part of him wished he couldn't move, feeling shaken at what just happened, that once again he was left frozen by Orochimaru. That if the snake Sannin wanted to, he'd be dead with Naruto and Satsuki in his clutches. Damn it, thought Kakashi, looking at his unconscious students before lifting them both up and shunshined away. Team 7's room. Reappearing in their room, Kakashi froze when Sakura and Karen immediately ran over to them with the copy ninja only noticing Karen's bright red hair, knowing exactly who she is. Oh no, Kakashi thought, realizing that Orochimaru was right, even if the Hokage did tell Naruto the truth, it's too late, knowing it's likely the whiskered Ravenet now knew about the Uzumaki clan. Are they alright, Kakashi-sensei? Questioned Sakura in concern, taking Satsuki from the Jonin while Karen took Naruto. They're both fine, just unconscious from the sealing process. They'll both be up soon enough. Kakashi replied. Here, let me help. Kin said, helping Karen lift Naruto into bed before helping Sakura do the same with Satsuki, with the pinkett and redhead quickly sitting down by them. All while Kakashi looked at Kin in suspicion, not trusting in Oto Kunoichi being near his students with how they now knew of Orochimaru's ties to Otogakure, even more so with what he's planning. Sakura, when they wake up, tell them to head to the arena on the first floor of the tower. It's through the double doors, be there in the morning to learn about the final exam. Said Kakashi, the pinkett nodded in response before the Jonin took his leave. Whatever Kakashi-sensei did, it really took a lot out of them. Sakura said with Karen and Kin nodding in agreement, given how they looked much more energized earlier after their bath, but now they were completely unconscious. Yeah, here, open their mouths and help them bite me, said Karen, holding her arm over Naruto's mouth, much to Sakura's surprise and concern. Are you sure, Karen? You really don't need to. Kakashi-sensei did say they'll be up soon, said Sakura, only for the redhead to shake her head. I know, but I still want to make sure they're fully ready for whatever the final exam will be. It's fine really, I'm choosing to let them bite me and I want to help them, Karen said, wanting to make sure that Naruto and Satsuki were fully recovered. If you're sure, said Kin, opening Naruto's mouth and letting Karen put her arm in it before having the Uzumaki bite down. I don't mind if Naruto wants to bite me, Karen thought, blushing slightly at imagining Naruto biting her under different circumstances, before she shook her head. She then went over and did the same to Satsuki with Sakura helping her in having the Uchiha bite down, seeing the redhead wouldn't be deterred. Making sure they both got plenty of chakra to be up and ready in time. Well, I think that's enough excitement for today. We should get some sleep too, Kin stated, with Sakura and Karen nodding in agreement before they all went to their beds to get some sleep as well. So, what did you think? Good. Yep, we see the genin taking a small break for lunch, with Naruto taking the chance to learn more about the Uzumaki clan and Karen being happy and excited to learn how strong his clan is, while Satsuki, Sakura, and Kin are amazed at everything they could do, and the abilities Karen had. Only for them to then be disgusted and angered when they learn at the treatment Karen and her mother suffered in Kusa, especially Naruto who wishes to make everyone who hurt Karen suffer. While swearing she'll never go back to Kusa no matter what anyone says or does, with Satsuki, Sakura, and Kin agreeing with him. They also learn about Oto from Kin and her friendship with Tayuya, with Kin bringing up the chance that Tayuya could potentially be an Uzumaki as well, much to Naruto's and Karen's hope at having another relative. Before they then discuss how to get a heaven scroll, with Karen and Kin offering some advice and help on getting one, much to Team 7's gratitude. Then we see them making their way to the tower, being able to make short work of the AIM team with Karen's mind's eye of the Kagura and Kin's genjutsu, allowing them to get a heaven scroll to pass the second exam. With them reaching the tower and opening the scrolls, with Iruka appearing, being surprised at Naruto's new appearance and them being with Akusa Kunoichi and Aoto Kunoichi. Before he explains the purpose of the second exam, then takes them to a room to rest. With us then seeing Satsuki's lack of shame as she strips off all her clothes much to Karen's and Kin's shock, even more so at learning they all live together, with Kakashi having bought them a house to live in as a means to promote teamwork. With it getting worse at learning how Satsuki's convinced Naruto and Sakura they should take baths together. Before we then see all 5 of them bathing together, with everyone but Satsuki wearing towels to hide their modesty, only to end up losing them, leading to Naruto seeing all the girls' bodies and the girls seeing Naruto's as well. Much to their embarrassment and enjoyment, though Sakura being in denial while inner Sakura continuously eggs her on. With it only getting worse, or better, when Naruto and Sakura end up falling on top of each other, with Sakura's perverted side coming out at being on top of Naruto, only to be mortified when she comes back to her senses. Then we see Team 7 called to the Hokage's office where Kakashi, Anko, and the Hokage are waiting, along with discovering that Naruto has a curse seal as well. One that none of them recognize even with their knowledge on Orochimaru's curse seals. With Kakashi taking them away to seal the marks away, while Anko asks that Naruto and Satsuki be pulled from the exams, only for the Hokage to refuse to avoid alienating them further. Being able to tell something else happened in the forest, causing Naruto to begin distrusting him, which the Hokage can't risk pushing him further away, knowing if Naruto becomes a flight risk he'll have to do what's necessary to keep him in the village and loyal, much to Anko's shock. Finally we then see Kakashi sealing away the curse seals and removing the 5 elements seal from Naruto, before being confronted by a shadow clone of Orochimaru. With Kakashi attempting to stay strong only to be left frozen by the snake Sanin's killing intent, reminding Orochimaru of their last encounter when he fled the village. Before he reveals his plans to have Naruto carry on his legacy in the event he dies and how he intends to get Naruto to join him. Before the clone dispels, allowing Kakashi to move again while being shaken from the encounter, before he brings Naruto and Satsuki back to their room, being frozen at seeing Karen, being able to tell she's an Uzumaki and that Naruto likely now knows about his clone. With him taking his leave, while Karen has Sakura and Kin help Naruto and Satsuki bite her to speed up their recovery. Before the girls soon turn in to get some sleep as well. So, for those that like the story, thanks for your support. For those that don't or at least don't like the direction taken, you're more than welcome to drop the story. But thanks for giving the story a chance anyway. Storm out. Wasn't long before Sakura, Kin and Karen had fallen asleep along with Naruto and Satsuki, with all 5 of the genin sleeping peacefully. Only for the whiskered Ravenet to begin tossing and turning in his sleep, gritting his teeth as the curse seal of hell began pulsing on his neck. Before it began glowing a fiery orange as it started working to break free. Mindscape. While within Naruto's mindscape, the claw-like markings of the curse seal began appearing and spreading out along the walls and pipes. With more of the markings covering the pipes as they started glowing with Naruto's chakra running through them, integrating themselves directly into the Uzumaki's chakra network. The markings kept moving until they reached a large chamber with equally large cage doors covering an entire wall opposite of the entrance of the chamber. With the marks not stopping as they spread along the walls and bars of the cage, going to the center where a ceiling tag kept it closed. Glowing as they began integrating themselves within the new seal. Within the cage, the QB's eyes opened after sensing the curse seal still activating and how it began spreading throughout the mindscape. The Biju felt intrigued when it saw how the curse seal was now beginning to integrate itself within the 8 trigram seal. Strange, I've never seen a curse seal react in such a way. And before, when it was being sealed, it seemed like it was trying to fight off the sealing, when not even the damned Uchiha's mark reacted in such a way. Thought Kyuubi, narrowing its eyes at how it seemed as if the curse seal was trying to adapt, trying to find ways to still influence its host. Though before Kyuubi could think on it further, it was shocked when it saw the markings began integrating itself further into the seal. With it now going through the openings meant for the key and where it was loosened when Naruto started using its chakra. What kind of curse seal is this? Kyuubi thought, not believing the way the curse seal was acting. Knowing that if it fully integrates itself within the 8 trigram seal, then it'd begin merging with Naruto's chakra as well, just like it was doing with the fox's own power. Or is it trying to gain more power so that it can break the evil sealing method so it can continue influencing the Uzumaki? With it shocking the Biju that the curse seal would act in such a way, that it's not just passively influencing Naruto to use its power. It's actively evolving and adapting to move past anything that's trying to suppress, as if it was alive itself. This is no ordinary curse seal, it's something else. But what? Thought Kyuubi before growling and narrowing its eyes when the markings started moving through the inside of the cage. Allowing the fox to soon sense its own chakra within the curse seal, as well as chakra from the rest of its siblings as well. How did that snake get our chakra? Wait, Kyuubi thought, wanting to know how Orochimaru had been able to get its and its siblings' chakra, only to stop when it sensed more chakra in the seal. Though it wasn't chakra the Kyuubi recognized, it could sense 5 different chakra pieces within the curse seal with all 5 of them feeling like the 5 elemental affinities. But more than that, the chakra seemed oddly similar to the Biju's chakra. Not in the sense it came from Biju, but that all 5 fragments felt as if they were part of something greater. That's enough, thought Kyuubi, seeing how the marks were still spreading out before it flared its chakra to push them back into the curse seal and purge it. Refusing to have the brat depending on any outside source of power other than its own, let alone power coming from a mark that could have killed them both. The Biju smirked as its chakra began forcing the marks back and out of the cage, knowing the curse seal will soon be dealt with. Only for the Kyuubi's eyes to widen when the marks suddenly stopped retreating and began glowing before it felt the mindscape start shaking. What's it doing now? Kyuubi thought, not expecting the curse seal to begin reacting to its attempt to destroy it, doubting it'd have a means to defend itself from its chakra. Before the fox was shocked when from the walls and floor of the cage, trees and wooden tendrils burst forth and began forcing its chakra back, allowing the marks to continue spreading out. With it not stopping there as the wooden tendrils shot towards the Kyuubi, wrapping around its limbs, tails, and body. Mokuden. How could it? Thought Kyuubi in disbelief while working to tear away the tendrils before it could be suppressed, until its eyes widened in realization. The Uzumaki clan was distantly related to the Senju clan, and if one went far enough back they would have a common ancestor. So no matter how small the chance is, there was still a chance they would have the potential to awaken the Mokuden as well, including Naruto. It awakened the Mokuden by finding it in his DNA. Kyuubi thought, realizing the curse seal must have been searching Naruto's DNA and chakra for a means to fight back against its attempt to destroy it, with it finding the Mokuden and awakening it. Cursing and panicking at the idea of being suppressed with Mokuden again, the Kyuubi quickly began shrinking down to escape the tendrils before they could completely restrain it. With the Kyuubi turning into a human girl, looking to be a few years older than her host, with long red-orange hair that went all the way down to her shapely along with a few strands hanging over her face and framing it, fair skin, and crimson-red eyes with slit pupils. Along with her having 3 jagged whisker marks on her cheeks, claws, and fangs pointing out from her lips. With her most noticeable trait being a pair of fox ears on top of her head, in the place of human ears. I am not being restrained by this a second time, said Kyuubi as her now smaller form letting her slip through the tendrils, jumping away when smaller wooden tendrils shot out towards her. Releasing a blast of fire from her mouth, Kyuubi burned away the tendrils before they could reach, moving further back when more shot down above her. With multiple branches stretching out from the trees, wrapping around her arms before she quickly ripped them apart with her claws. I need to think of something fast. Kyuubi thought, feeling panic take over since she really had no way of escaping them as long as Cursed Seal kept trying to restrain her. Before the vixen gasped when suddenly golden chains burst out of the walls, shooting towards her and wrapping around her wrists and ankles, lifting her up into the air. Not these two, thought QB, struggling against the chains, recognizing exactly what they were from how long she was restrained by them. Unlike that other Uzumaki brat who only had adamantine attacking chains, these were the completed form and ones she truly hated, adamantine sealing chains. Damn it. I refuse to be, QB said, trying to break free, only to gasp when the chains began moving and wrapping up her arms and legs. With her then unable to help but moan when the two chains around her legs continue up her body, with going up between her legs, pressing against her in the process. While the second went up her back, moving between her doing so. And the ones around her arms moved across her chest, wrapping around her, squeezing them as they met in the center. As the two moving up her body soon reached her neck and wrapped around it, merging together into a collar as they did so. Kushina, you kinky bitch, this is you fault. Thought QB, blushing in embarrassment and mortification at the way the chains wrapped around her, blaming her second host for this. Though QB didn't stop trying to break free, now even more desperate to escape to the embarrassing restraints. Only to moan again when the wooden tendrils shot out and began ensnaring her entire body, pressing the chains even further against her and, with her struggles soon growing weaker as the Mokuton began suppressing her chakra and leaving her docile. I hate these, QB thought before her head slumped forward with half-lidded eyes, falling into a semi-unconscious state. Once she was completely restrained, the Cursed Seal markings continued spreading out, moving along the chains and tendrils as they began covering QB's body. While the chains and tendrils began further wrapping around her until soon the vixen was wrapped in them like a cocoon. Before a dark chakra soon began emanating off of it as the Cursed Seal began further evolving with new power. Though while it was doing this, the Cursed Seal kept spreading through the rest of Naruto's mindscape, adapting and evolving further after the QB's attempt to purge it. With it now starting to actively seek out any other potential threats to it. Until it soon located two foreign chakra fragments deeper within Naruto's mindscape, being able to sense the two fragments had similar chakra to its host. Yet they were different enough for the Cursed Seal to know they weren't part of Naruto and instead seemed to have been placed within the 8 trigram seal. And with how similar they were to his chakra, the Cursed Seal believed they likely came from his parents. Most likely put in place as safeguards should the 8 trigram seal begin to fail and the QB would break free. But with it now having integrated itself within the 8 trigram seal, the Cursed Seal saw both chakra fragments as threats to its evolution. Before having more wooden tendrils and chains shoot out, quickly wrapping around and restraining both fragments before they could react. But it didn't stop there as the Cursed Seal began unraveling both chakra fragments. Until they were returned to being just pure chakra, which it moved into the cocoon with the QB to incorporate them into it as well. Once that was done, the Cursed Seal searched for any other potential threats, only to find nothing else that would prove to be an obstacle, allowing it to continue spreading uninterrupted. Real world. Back in the real world, the evil sealing method was now struggling to continue suppressing the Cursed Seal of Hell until it soon shattered and faded away from Naruto's skin. With the Cursed Seal soon activating again as it was freed and began spreading over Naruto's body, causing the Uzumaki to suddenly wake up with a gasp as its power rushed through him. Only to immediately fall back asleep as the markings around his body began changing from what they were before. The 8 trigram seal symbols beginning to spread out over Naruto's chest, around his shoulders, his upper arms, and going around his sides over his back. While the swirl within the 8 trigram seal changed to now resemble the Uzumaki clan's emblem, with matching emblems appearing on Naruto's shoulders that the symbols went around in arches. Along with 6 magatama appearing around his neck. While the Cursed Seal's markings spread over Naruto's face with 2 curved claw-like markings appearing on his cheeks as his whisker marks became darker and jagged. With more appearing under his eyes and curving around them and more marking appearing over his eyes. As well as large markings going down his arms resembling fire with claw-like spiraling protrusions. Once the marks had finished spreading, the glow around them vanished while the curse seal on Naruto's neck vanished, having fully incorporated itself within the 8 trigram seal in Naruto's chakra network. With Orochimaru. Meanwhile, after his clone had dispelled, Orochimaru had gone to his hidden lab within the Forest of Death. Having set it up back when he was still a Konoha ninja, knowing it'd be safe from ever being found given that hardly anyone enters the Forest of Death, let alone try searching it for anything they wouldn't expect to be here. I take it your team failed, Kabuto. Orochimaru stated without looking up from his work, having sensed Kabuto the moment he got close to the lab, with the spy stepping out of the shadows. Afraid so. We lost our chance at locating a heaven scroll before time ran out. And it's such a shame, I was actually looking forward to final exam this time, said Kabuto with a smirk, not really disappointed he failed the exams again since he's only meant to gather data on all the genin that participate. That's likely for the best. One can only take the Chunin exams so many times only to forfeit after coming so far, before it begins looking suspicious. Especially now that my old sensei is aware of my presence in the village, said Orochimaru as Kabuto nodded in agreement, knowing someone would have eventually grown suspicious with how he kept forfeiting the exams at the 3rd stage. True enough. But I take it you succeeded in your own goal, Orochimaru-sama. Kabuto said, though already knew the answer. That's right, Satsuki Uchiha has received the curse seal of heaven and seems to have taken quite nicely to it. Even better, I've marked Naruto Uzumaki with the curse seal of hell, and he survived. Orochimaru revealed, causing Kabuto's eyes to widen in shock. The curse seal of hell. You gave it to Naruto, and he actually survived? Kabuto asked in disbelief. Indeed, and I'm certainly looking forward to seeing how it develops in its first host. Especially what will happen after Kakashi used the evil sealing method on it. From what my clone saw, it seems even while he was performing the sealing, the curse seal was trying to fight it off. So, if I had to guess, I believe the evil sealing method won't last for long, said Orochimaru, eager to see how Naruto's curse seal will respond and change to the evil sealing method. Interesting, I must admit that is rather intriguing to know someone's finally survived having that curse seal branded on them. But Orochimaru-sama, why even bother marking Naruto, let alone with the curse seal of hell? His academy records are abysmal, he's little more than a brawler when it comes to taijutsu. I doubt he'd even notice he's under the effects of a genjutsu unless someone told him. The only worthwhile ninjutsu he has is the shadow clone jutsu, and even then he just uses them to overwhelm opponents. I'd honestly be surprised if he survived the weakest curse seal being branded onto him, said Kabuto while pushing his glasses up, having no idea why the snake Sanin would bother marking someone as weak as the whiskered Ravenet. This made Orochimaru stop what he was doing before sighing in disappointment as he turned towards the spy. You disappoint me, Kabuto. I may understand Kin's ignorance and the rest of my spies in Konoha being biased in his abilities, but I'd expect more from my second in command to look beyond what's right in front of you. Perhaps you've been in Konoha for too long if you're being blinded by the same idiocy as the rest of this village, Orochimaru said, making Kabuto frown. You believe that there's more to Naruto than what we see, Kabuto stated. I don't believe it, I know it. Perhaps everything you've said about Naruto is true, yet no one sees the potential in the boy. He has the most powerful Biju sealed within him, that alone makes it so he'll grow to be a powerful ninja should he master the fox's chakra. But even without that, his heritage makes it so if he had the right training, he could stand among even the most powerful ninja in history. With his father being Minato Namikaze, a ninja that was trained by Jiraiya and even the Yondaime Raikage believed was unmatched. Flee on-sight orders were given to enemy ninja that encountered him, he single-handedly wiping an army of 1,000 Iowa ninja, and if not for him, the Kyuubi would have reduced Konoha to rubble. Even I can't deny if Minato had lived, I would either be dead or still loyal to Konoha to avoid the risk of facing him. And then his mother, Kushina Uzumaki, A pure-blooded Uzumaki descended from a clan feared and revered enough that 3 villages banded together with several smaller nations just to wipe them out, with the only reason why Kumogakure wasn't involved in the attack was because they declared neutrality during the Second Shinobi World War. Kushina was also the Kyuubi Jinchuriki before Naruto and capable of wielding the fox's power as she liked, possessing enough chakra that she could fight for days on end and not even feel the least bit tired or exhausted. Having skill in kenjutsu that made even the 7 swordsmen hesitate to face her, while her adamantine sealing chains could restrain the Kyuubi, making anyone else child's play in comparison. And both of them were fuinjutsu masters of unrivaled ability, not even Jiraiya's talent in the art reached their level. Explained Orochimaru while Kabuto's eyes widened further with each word. Naruto has both the Kyuubi and a heritage that gives him potential beyond anyone else, only a rare few could possess such an innate talent. I gave him the curse seal of hell because if anyone could survive it, it would be him. Orochimaru said. The spy's eyes widened even more at this realization. Giving him the curse seal of hell along with the power of the Kyuubi and the potential of his parents, he could very well be compared to Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha themselves. The closest someone could ever reach to rivaling the Sage of Six Paths. Said Kabuto in disbelief and amazement, unable to even imagine the kind of monster Naruto could become if he mastered that kind of power. Exactly. All that potential would be wasted if he remained in Konoha. Which is why I want you to begin gathering any information you can find about Naruto as well as getting befriend the boy and his teammates to help in his turn. Kin is already in the process of getting close to him and Tayuya will be joining, soon enough. Ordered Orochimaru with the medic Nin pushing his glasses up and smirking in realization. Understood, Orochimaru-sama. Though I think I'm understanding it now, you didn't mark Naruto just to use him as a potential vessel nor are you trying to get him to join you